we really work in the Beltway, with a lot of the legislators and Congress. We work with the Congressionally Paid Caucus, for example.
So that's quite a bit of lobbying.
We call it education.
Because I would think, as
Right.
a nonprofit,
Right.
we're all limited to X amount of percent
Right.
of the effort.
Correct.
So you're looking at legislation and
Right.
making sure that it meets the needs of the community,
Right.
right?
We do very little lobbying. I really do think that we see ourselves as providing information to policymakers and certainly, again, breaking the myth of the model minority. We do some work on specific pieces of legislation. For example, Congressman Wu recently introduced a bill to designate Asian American and Pacific Islander serving institutions. So that would be similar to the historically black colleges and universities, Hispanic serving institutions, Native Hawaiian and Alaska Native serving institutions. So
you do quite a bit of traveling, right?
Yes, I was in, I think, 5 cities last week. It was quite crazy, actually.
Wow. Well, let's talk a little bit about Lisa, okay?
Sure.
Lisa is 4th generation
Right.
Japanese American. And Lisa, similar to my first guest, Bill, who dabbled in polka. What does Lisa do?
Oh, gosh.
For fun.
For fun. I think you're referring to our conversation about rock climbing.
Yes.
Which is a new hobby of mine. There's actually a rock climbing gym close to here.
Yeah, I'm amazed. I must miss it all the time. How big could it be?
Yeah, it's called Sport Rock. So yes, that's a new activity, and I actually took diving lessons recently here in Montgomery County. So yes, some new activities, and I'll be getting married in October, so that's the other extracurricular activity that I've been.
Speaking of getting married, you are another statistic in terms of the Japanese community. I know that the Japanese community really is probably the largest ethnicity that marries outside their own ethnicity.
Right, and so I don't know actually
High
where.
number, right? Pretty high percent.
I don't know where I would fall in the statistic because my fiance is Chinese American, so sort of within the Asian American community, but it's true, he's not Japanese American. And I think actually that it's more generational, because I think that my family probably has more in common with a 4th generation Chinese American family than with a recently immigrated Japanese family. So I'm not quite sure where I
think there's
fall
a
in
lot
the
of truth to that.
Yeah. So Asian American identity has certainly been growing.
Yeah.
So.
In fact, speaking of this whole Asian American identity, those of us that are involved in community, we're actually creating this identity, aren't we? Because it's non-existent,
Right.
and with each year we're defining what it means. What does it mean to you to be Asian American in today's
Right.
world?
I think it's a complicated. Different days, I feel like I want to take on different pieces of that identity. I think that sometimes I identify as a woman of color.